Okay, at this point now we are ready to create our displacement map. I'm gonna show you how to do that inside of ZBrush here. But we can also at this point go ahead and export our geometry if we want. So to do that, remember we're always going to be exporting our level 1 geometry, our low res geometry. Uh, and we're going to go ahead and put that into our project directory. I've created a project directory on my desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and export this low-res skull. And remember, this low-res skull does already have our UVs. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and export this skull out and then create our displacement map. So at level 1, I'm going to go ahead and click on Export. I'm going to go to the data folder in the project directory that I've created, and I've already got it exported here. All right, skull low res. We'll just do that right here and save it and replace it. All right, so we've got our geometry exported out now. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put this at its highest subdivision level. Okay, and again, make sure that you do have a morph target stored for this guy. All right, and this is going to be important when we create our map. So let's go back over to our Z plugin, and I'm going to close up UV Master, and I'm going to open up Multi-Map Exporter. In here, oops, let's close this up. In here, now we've got all kinds of options to create our maps. Let me just turn these off right here. So you can see we can make a displacement map, a vector displacement, normal map, ambient occlusion, all that kind of stuff. But what we're going to just concern ourselves with right here is a displacement map. So that's the only thing I'm going to have turned on here. For this assignment, I'm going to make sure that my map is a 2K map by clicking on 2K right here. And I want to make sure that I have Flip V turned on. When we bring our maps from ZBrush into Maya, Maya looks at the maps a little bit differently than ZBrush does. And for Maya to understand the map properly, the map needs to be flipped vertically so that Maya can understand it. So we can do that right here upon the map creation, flip the V, or if we forget to click that button, we can flip it vertically inside of Maya. All right. But so to save us a step from doing that in Maya, we'll make sure that we have flip V turned on right here. I'm then going to go ahead and click on Export Options, and then come down here to Displacement Map, because it's the only map we're creating. And we'll open this up. And in here, these are the settings I'm going to have turned on. Now, as far as adaptive or DP subpix, you can have one or the other. I can turn adaptive off and have DP subpix turned all the way up. If you have adaptive on, it's going to override this. All right. Now, adaptive is more for a model that is going to be deformed in some way, like say through animation. Okay. This is not going to be deformed in any way through animation. So I'm going to turn adaptive off, and I'm going to control the quality of it through the DP subpix. All right. You can see as I hover over it, it says subpixel accuracy. Higher values equal better quality and slower generation. So we're going to have a better map, but it's going to take a little bit longer to create. All right. I'm going to make sure that the mid value is set to 0, smooth UVs, 3 channels, 32-bit EXR. That's all I'm worried about. I'm going to ignore scale and intensity. And I'm just going to go ahead at this point to go ahead and click on Create All Maps right here. We'll click on that. And we will navigate to our Source Images folder. And let's call this, we'll just call this Skull Displacement. Remember to name your maps. It's a good idea. Skull Displacement EXR. Make sure it goes into the Source Images folder and save. All right. And give it a second. You can see it's calculating it and resolving this. It's going to take a minute or so to create. So let's just be patient. And I'm going to go ahead and pause this video until this is done. All right, our map is created, and you can see right here all maps created. It took 1 minute and 58 seconds just to create the displacement map. We just need to click off of that to get rid of it. And our map is created and is now in our in our project folder on our desktop. We've already exported the geometry on this guy. So let's go ahead and get ready now to do a final render inside of Maya. So I'm going to step through that process one more time. We're going to do it with the hat over here. Oops. There we go. So we've got a hat here, and I just want to step through this process one more time with this guy to create a displacement map for him. All right. So I've got 6, let me just close this up for a second. On the hat here, I've got 6 levels of subdivision. There's level 1. All right, with the noise applied to this guy, this is what level 1 ends up looking like. All right. And there it is at level 6 at 1.9 million polygons. You remember that we've got poly groups on here. We've got 2 separate poly groups. And this has already been UV'd. Let's go down here and take a look at our UV palette right here. Oops. There we go. So we already have UVs on this guy. All right, let's morph that back. Okay. And we've got our levels of subdivision. So we are ready now to do 2 things. We can export our hat out, and we can create our displacement map for this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to come back up here to the very top, and I'm going to export this guy out at level 1. So we'll export. Let's go to our data folder. We'll call this hat underscore low res, and we'll save it as an OBJ in our data folder. Let's go ahead and go to our highest subdivision level and scroll down to morph target. I'll close this up, go to morph target, and I'm going to store a fresh morph target of this at its highest subdivision level. We can close this up. Let's go ahead and open up our side panel where we have our multi-map exporter. Again, I'm going to make sure displacement is turned on. 2048 map size, flip V. I'm going to come into the export options right here into the displacement map section. I'm going to make sure that DP subpix is set to 4, smooth UV, 3 channel, 32-bit EXR is selected for us to create our displacement map. Once that's set, I'm going to go ahead and just click on create all maps right here. And I'm going to direct that again to my source images folder. So let's go into here, source images, and we'll call this hat underscore displacement. EXR, make sure that EXR is selected here. All right, it's the only option you have. And again, we'll put that into our source images folder. And there we go. It's going to take a minute here, so let's give it some time. And while that is baking, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And there we have it. Our map is complete. It took 2 minutes and 41 seconds, and it has already been exported over to our source images folder. So we're ready now to take our low-res skull and our low-res hat and bring those into or bring them into a Arnold render scene and render it out. So in the next series of videos, we're going to go over to Maya and we're going to set up a render scene for Arnold, creating a backdrop and some lights. We're going to import our geometry, hook up our displacement maps, and hopefully get a nice render. All right, so we'll see you in the next video.